Here we are at the last lesson. I'm excited. Hopefully you're excited. Day number 10, the essentials. Stop and think, making AI your own. Our car is at a final stop today. We went through the foundations on Spark. You work through every letter, speak it out, pivot, action, reframe, and keep going. I hope you'll remember it. Today is the final letter, S. Stop and think. And I'll be honest with you, it's the one that people skip most often because it doesn't feel productive. It doesn't feel fast. It feels like going backwards. And by the end of the session, I hope you'll see why everything else you learn only works if this one is in place. Welcome to S, the final S in Sparks. You need to put in strategic pauses. Stop, think, then do. After 10 prompts, don't move on. Ask, what did I learn? What changed in how I see the problem? What should I do next? A study by The Economist of 312 companies showed that companies with strategic pauses sold 40% more and earned 52% higher profits. Can you think of a stronger reason to stop and think? And you know it's true. A 2-minute pause before you act beats a 2-hour fix later. You know, but you might not do it. So let me give you some reasons for an important change. The solution is quite simple. It's a power pause. Am I thinking or am I reacting? And there's 4 really good reasons for the pause. We're going to go through them one by one. Here's a number that should stop you. 60% of a typical knowledge worker's time goes into type 3 errors. Not typos, not bad math. A type 3 error is solving the wrong problem, doing the wrong thing, and perhaps doing it very well. You can be busy all day, fast, productive, heads down, still running in the wrong direction. The defense is simple. Stop and think. 3 questions. Am I doing something I should be doing? Am I getting closer to my objective? Should I change my approach? Ask them, and ask them again when you're halfway through. Work you should never have done is always wasted work. Thinking protects you also from leaning too hard on AI. Remember the AI errors we saw in lesson 4? AI was confident and wrong. It's easy to miss. These 3 habits will keep you sharp. 1, form your own judgment first. Answer the question for yourself in your head before you see AI's output. Then compare. Now you can spot where it's off target. 2, wait through a delay. A built-in pause breaks fast thinking and forces you to reason. Speed is often where mistakes hide. 3 is rule out alternatives. Name what you're rejecting, not what you're accepting. If you can't say why the other answers are wrong, you haven't really decided. Your judgment first, a pause, and a real choice. That's how you use AI without handing it your own thinking. Now you need to remember that thinking is like a muscle. It's use it or lose it. You skip the thinking and 3 things happen. First, you get lazy. You stop evaluating, you start accepting. The AI says yes, you say you bet. Second, there's cognitive atrophy. The ability to synthesize and judge your own output fades slowly. You won't notice it, but it does go away. Third, there's slower error detection. When you stop thinking, you miss mistakes, and those mistakes can cost you a lot later on. Reflection is how you push back on all 3. Stay in the loop, keep the muscle working. Use AI to think faster, not to stop thinking. When I was a kid, my grandma had this sign hanging up in her kitchen. I said, Grandma, you can't move faster and still move slower. She said, Bryan, you'll learn someday. And I did. I learned the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland was often right. The hurrier you go, often the behinder you get. Rushing feels like progress. Often it's the opposite. You skip the thinking. You grab the first answer. You solve the wrong problem. Then you loop back and you do it again. Slowing down for a moment is not lost time. It's often the fastest way forward. Your capstone is a perfect opportunity to stop and think. I want you to stop, look back across all 10 days. What did you learn? What could you change in the way that you're using AI? How could you do this systematically? Could you make a tool? Yes, probably. What I'd like you to do is to build something using some of what you've learned. It's stop and think made permanent. It's a tool for a challenge that's yours. The only requirement is you build something that's useful for you. Now, you can have a certificate for this course, just going through and marking everything that's being done. We do it on an honor basis. But there is something one step further. If you submit your capstone and pass, you'll get a certificate of mastery. It's pretty easy. There's the sound of music. You say tomato, I say tomato. There's lots of different tools that you could use. In this chart here, you'll find 2 which are free, a Gemini Gem and a ChatGPT project, and 2 which are paid, a ChatGPT, Custom GPT, and an AI, and a Claude project. All of them will work to do your final project. There's also stuff in Manus, there's stuff in Grok. It doesn't matter what you need. You can use any one that you want. So why would you want to do this? It's to do something quicker, faster, and better. It's hard to start the conversation from the beginning again and again to do a repeatable task and get consistent results. Now, most people believe that making an AI tool requires coding. The reality is you can do it in plain language. You can do it using your existing documents, and there's even step-by-step guides. What do you get? There's a big difference between a tool and regular chat. With a regular chat, we keep starting from zero. You copy paste lots of things and the output is hit or miss. With the tool, you can take the time to define the objectives and methods once. You can benefit from past usage, especially if you're doing a project, and you can even share the results with your colleagues. Now, this is easier than you think. Right now, there's an estimated 3 million public custom GPTs. I know one company that made over 750 after a 1-month innovation sprint. And typically what you'll get out of this is 25% faster, 40% higher quality. And you'll also get better results because you're adding content to what you're doing. There's essentially 4 ingredients that you need to put together to make your capstone project. I'm going to go through these one by one, and then the demo, you'll see how to do it step by step. We've put 4 prompts ready for you. You can use this QR code or the link which is on the page. First, it's objectives. Here's a simple way to define your objectives. What is your story? What do you want? What don't you want? Now, those are the key elements in our True North, which we covered in lesson number 5. If you want to use that, just open the GPT, type this prompt, talk. After about 10 minutes, you'll have a pretty good description of what you want to do. Now, data is the second step. It can be the fuel for your tool. It can be internal documents. You can skip this step, but it's easier than you think. You can use the instructions from lesson number 2, how to become an expert in anything fast, or simply run this prompt. The prompt is, I'm working on the following challenge. You can use the True North from the previous bit. Help me write a deep research prompt that will collect the useful information I need to solve this challenge, and then run the deep research prompt. Straightforward, collect the data, put it in your tool. As far as your work methods, you can define how your tool works on your own, but there's an easier solution. You tell your LLM about the project you're working on, then ask it to ask you clarification questions to help you write your instructions. Simple, easy, straightforward. 5 to 10 minutes later, you've got instructions for your GPT or Gem or whatever you're working on. The last part is working on your output. Now, there's lots of ways you can test it. You can test your output with colleagues, but we talked about it before in the ping pong method. You do everything in one AI, run your output, give your instructions, give your output to the other AI, ask it to review what you got back and suggest changes in instructions. If you do this a couple times, you'll get great results fast. Simple, easy, straightforward. Like every other class, we're ending with a few more learn more links. First one is towards human AI deliberation, design and evaluation of AI empowered deliberative methods. The video is the power of the pause, and a notebook MM about the power of stopping and thinking. Your assignment is simple. Follow the 4 steps. Define your objectives, gather some data, define your output, build, test, and improve. Few suggestions for you. 1 is keep it simple. Don't boil the ocean. Focus on one objective. When you get stuck, the easiest way to get help is say, hey, I'm stuck. Explain what you're stuck on, and AI will give you an answer. Use the tools we provide. 4, and you probably won't do this, but I think you should, put up a timer on your desk. Give yourself an hour or 2 hours and say, that's it. That's the time I'm going to spend on this, and you'll be done. And most important, have some fun along the way. Everything's here. Everything's available. Easy, straightforward. I'd like to close by telling you how far you've come. You've gone through the foundations, and the foundations will bring you further than 90% of the people using AI. And then we looked at habits that you can use to put in the ways that you work to change how you use AI on a daily basis. They're easy to remember. Remember the acronym SPARKS. At the beginning, I made a promise to you. If you watched the courses, did the exercises, I'm sure you think different about AI. Second, you should be working different with AI, and you'll be able to test this by looking at your assessment pre and post. You do the capstone, you have 1 useful project and a certification. It's been my honor to have you in this class. My hope is this course will help you work better with AI today and tomorrow, and make AI your muse. I'd like to end with 3 points to think about. The whole course has been focused around thinking and working with AI. We talk about the brain-on protocol. What you need to do is you need to think before you use AI to define the task. You need to think while you're using AI to steer the process. And you need to think afterwards to reflect and improve. Thank you very much. Glad to have you here. If you want, there's a demo at the end explaining how to go through the capstone project. Thank you.